Here polarization means division into two groups, that may be anything. Now we are talking about the dielectric polarization. When charges of opposite polarity means positive and negative are induced on the surface of a dielectric, that means if we take this as the dielectrics, the charges will be induced on the dielectric of the surface like this. The dielectric is said to be polarized, means positive charges will be coming one side and negative charges that will be induced in the other surface. The effect is known as the dielectric polarization, and here based on polarizations, that dielectric polarization that will be divided into four types, that will be electronic polarization, ionic polarization, orientation polarization, and space charge polarization. Here coming to the ionic polarization, here whenever the negative electron cloud that will be separated with the nucleus, positive nucleus, then it is said to be electronic polarization. The separation of the positively charged nucleus with the negative electronic clouds, it is known as electronic polarization. Ionic polarization, the two ions, that is positive ions and negative ions. Ionic polarization occurs for the positive and negative ions within the molecules, that is if suppose Na plus and Cl minus ions. Orientation polarization occurs orientation of the molecules within the atom which have the permanent dipole moments. Like this. And space charge polarization that will be occurs. Space charge polarization is the polarization which is of the dielectric when the charge carriers, that means positive and negatives, within the atoms that will be separated with some distance within the atom itself. Because of this, these are bound elements, so it should not be change the direction. It cannot discharge an electrode. Coming to the derivation part of the electronic polarization, here electronic polarization occurs with the positive nucleus and to the negative electronic clouds. So polarization means separate the two groups. Here the positive nucleus that will be separated with the negative electronic clouds. So here for this it needs two types of forces, that is Lorentz force, at the same time Coulomb force. Lorentz force is used to separate the positive and negatives, and Coulomb force is used to maintain the distance of the positives and negatives. Here Lorentz force that will be equals to minus Z E into E. Here negative charge indicates that will be the negative charge, and Coulomb force that will be equal to Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon into R square. Here we are separating the two positives and negatives with the distance x. So we have to take that Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon into x square. Now here q1 means plus z into e. q2 means negative charge enclosed in sphere. Okay, here negative charge enclosed in the sphere, that is equal to charge density into volume of the sphere. Charge density into volume of the sphere. Here charge density means mass by volume. Already we know that mass by volume. What is the mass here? Mass means that is equal to charge ZE. Volume means mass means minus ZE. Volume, that will be 4 by 3 pi r cube. Why we are taking minus means here charge density for the negative charge. So if we take denominator into the numerator, then minus 3 by 4 ZE into pi r cube. Now what is the q2? Here charge density into volume of the sphere. Charge density, that will be minus 3 by 4 ZE by pi r cube, and volume of the sphere with the radius of the x. Here that will be 4 by 3 pi x cube. Now from the Coulomb force, q1 q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught into x square. q1 means already we know that will be ZE. q2 means minus 3 by 4 ZE by pi r cube into 4 by 3 pi x cube 4 pi epsilon naught into x square. Here minus 3 by 4 4 by 3. Next x square x cube, then z square e square by pi will get cancelled, then 4 pi epsilon naught into r cube. That will be the Coulomb force. Now finally we have to equate that Lorentz force, that should be equal to the Coulomb force. Lorentz force, that will be minus ZE into E. Coulomb force z square e square by 4 pi epsilon naught into r cube into one more x we have, then ZE will get cancelled. Now E is equal to ZE into x by 4 pi epsilon naught into r cube. From this we can write x as 4 pi epsilon naught into r cube into E by ZE. And we know that polarizability mu is equal to ZE into x. From the polarizability formula, mu is equal to ZE. X means 4 pi epsilon naught into r cube into E by ZE. ZE will get cancelled. Mu is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught into r cube into E. So we can write mu is directly proportional to the E. From this mu of E we can say that 4 pi epsilon naught into r cube. This is the polarizability of the electronic polarization. Now coming to the derivation part of the ionic polarization. Here ionic polarization is due to displacement of cations and anions in opposite direction, which occurs in the ionic solids. Suppose an electric field is applied in the positive x direction for the cations and negative x direction for the anions, and here x2 will be the negative distance and x1 will be the positive distance, and here mu, already we know that this is the polarizability function. E means charge of an electron and x1 x2 be the distances from the center of the position, and here we know that F is equal to m into a, mass into acceleration. Here acceleration we are taking that as x1, and mass means this is the restoring force. Beta can be called as the restoring force. which is used to bring the cation and anion into the same position. Here x1 can be written as F by beta 1 and x2 can be written as F by beta 2. Why? Because whenever F, that will be equal to beta 1 x1 and beta 2 x2. Restoring force, that will be equal to the positive and negative charges. Here beta 1, that can be written as x1 can be written as EE by m into omega naught square, and x2 can be written as EE by capital M into omega naught square. Here omega is the angular frequency and EE means that is the charge of cation and anion. From this we can write x1 plus x2 as EE by m into omega naught square and E into E by capital M into omega naught square. And if we take EE common, then we can write m into omega naught square plus m into omega naught square. And from the polarizability formula, mu is equal to E into x1 plus x2. E into x1 plus x2, E into E by m into omega naught square plus 1 by m into omega naught square. E into E, that will be E square into E. If we take omega naught square also common, then 1 by m plus 1 by capital M. From this we can say that mu is equal to alpha I into E. Alpha I means E square by omega naught square into 1 by m plus 1 by capital M. This is the ionic polarization formula. And we derived electronic polarization and ionic polarization. And coming to the orientational polarization. Orientational polarization means orientation of the complete